5 animals that can live after death. Chickens can live without their heads as long as their brain stems aren't cut off, because most of their motor functions aren't controlled by the brain but by the brain stems. Salamanders have the ability to regenerate limbs and organs so they don't die. When they're old enough, they could regenerate again and again, even their brain, heart, and spinal cord. After a snake loses its head, it still has hours to live, so you better stay away from its head, because it can still inject you with its venom even after death. Flatworms can rebuild any part of its body after it's cut off. If they're cut in half, the head will rebuild the tail and vice versa, resulting in 2 flatworms. Cockroaches are resistant to radiation and are most likely to survive a nuclear attack. They can live after decapitation for a long time, but since they can't eat, they die of starvation. 3 people who beat the system part 2. A man from Turkey was banned from his hometown soccer stadium for a year, but he said there was a match that was really important, so he had to go to the police station to sign a paper to show that he wouldn't be allowed to watch the game in the stadium. Then right after, he quickly went to rent a crane. It only cost him $86 and he even led the crowd in a chant. A girl's phone was about to die, so she yelled at her mom upstairs to bring her down a charger. The mom decided to put the charger around the dog and before I tell you about the smartest kid, I found this app that
You are my shelter from the lonely night.
Just press the button on my profile to get it. Finally, this girl was playing on the computer.
Now we're running through a red light.
On the floor, because we all know that it's the most painful thing in the world.
I wouldn't do it without you.
Clarence Anglin, John Anglin, and Frank Morris
Without
are the only 3 prisoners who managed to escape Alcatraz prison in 19.
We have a plan, we're taking steps to make it happen. Pushing through the weeks, queen, I hate it when you're absent. The distance ain't strong as this law of attraction. Take action and achieve, we will feel the satisfaction of everything we want in the palm of our hands. The world that we create, no one has to understand. No, I'm your mom.
Thomas escaped from the Verne prison in England. They used several knotted sheets to climb over a wall, and within a few hours, Thomas was captured. But Hannon has been free for 66 years and is considered one of the most successful escapees. 3 places you should never swim. One of the rivers that you should never set foot in is Bubbly Creek, located in Chicago. In the 1900s, American meatpacking companies drained their waste into this creek, which caused really toxic fumes due to the decomposition of animal organs and blood. Not even a fish could survive in this creek. In Thailand, there's one area that causes concern called the Sa Mason Hole. It's a really deep underwater cave, which causes bad visibility for whoever swims there. So unless you want to get lost in the sea, I don't recommend swimming there. The last place is called the Amazon Basin in South America. It's drained by the Amazon River and has lots of predatory animals, like caimans, barracudas, piranhas, and deadly candiru fish, which is attracted by urine and can get into your urinary tract and cause a lot of pain. Secret rooms that people found in their house. Ohio University students thought their house was haunted because their closets kept opening and they were hearing noises. After looking around, they found a room in their basement that led to a secret closet. They found a bed, books, and photographs that belonged to a stranger that was living there that they didn't know. A Reddit user shared a picture of a passageway in their new house. When he entered, he found a locked door that led to a secret room. Inside, he found a briefcase and a safe that had money, watches, and the most terrifying thing was a videotape saying the words "no, no, no." The tape was turned over to the police to try and solve the mystery. Finally, a man noticed some unusual boards in his basement, so he tried moving them and he found a room in his house that he had no clue existed. Inside, it was filled with ammunition and empty gun cases. There was even a grenade, but it was thankfully confirmed to be a dud. Facts you think are lies but are actually true. The Italian term spaghetti, used to name a type of pasta, is plural. And if you want to refer to a single piece of pasta in a package, the correct term is spaghetti. Columbus Day is celebrated in the United States on the 2nd Monday of October. But the truth is, Columbus never set foot in the United States.
She's the response of the love I've always asked for. There's no metaphor deeper than this time warp where we fall. Seconds cease to exist. I'm far from crisp, but yo, excuse me, miss. I wanna catch up with all the kisses I have missed. Feeling love drunk from each taste of her lips. Never resist because I love her to bits. I swear now deep down that it's me she has fixed. Pulling me closer to her, I'm transfixed. Christmas came early, she's top of my list. Life would be empty without her in it. So much to see but don't have to move quick.
In Japan, there's other Kit Kat flavors, like chili, sweet potato, wasabi, roasted corn, soy, watermelon, or mango. In lots of buildings, there's parking for umbrellas, which are similar to those of bicycles. In their traffic lights, they have a blue light instead of a green. There's a canned food restaurant chain. In some places, there are no number 4. For example, some buildings don't have a 4th floor, and some stores don't sell items that come in 4s. Their toilets are high-tech. Some of the functions are a heated seat, spraying warm water, and even playing music. Their cabs have automatic doors for passengers. And finally, they have capsule hotels, which are rooms that only have a bed and a TV. Tricks that cops don't want you to know. In lots of countries, police are allowed to tell lies, if necessary, to obtain information they believe may be relevant. You have the right to record as long as you're not under arrest. You can also ask for identification, and they can't force you to erase the video without a warrant. The requests an officer makes to you aren't in order. For example, if they don't have a warrant to search your car, then it's within your rights to refuse. But it's better to let them do it if you have nothing to hide, because you'll most likely be detained until they get a warrant. The best thing to do when dealing with the police is to act calmly, because if you're nervous or have a defensive attitude, it'll keep them on their toes and the situation may become more difficult. Finally, police officers may use false evidence to try and trick you into admitting the crime. For example, they may use a fake lie detector on a suspect to try and get them to admit or not admit the crime that they are being charged with. The most painful things humans can experience. Childbirth is one of the most intense and painful things a woman can experience. This is due to the pain caused by the contraction of muscles and the pressure caused by the fetus. Women who have gone through this say it feels like very intense cramping. Kidney stones can be caused by drinking too little water, exercising too much or too little, obesity, weight loss surgery, or eating foods with too much salt or sugar. The stones are made of minerals and salts that form in your kidneys. Kidney stones start to hurt when it blocks your urine from traveling to your bladder from your kidneys. Of all the types of headaches, cluster headache is the worst. Only 1% of the world suffers from them, and the people who have experienced it say it's a piercing, sudden, and intense pain. Finally, shingles is a viral infection that causes burning in your skin that appears as blisters, which contain pus or blood. Crazy ideas that actually worked. In some parts of the world, sunlight doesn't always reach, especially in the winter. So an engineer and an architect placed a giant mirror on the side of the mountain to reflect the sunlight. Alex too, who was a British student, needed money to pay for college. So he created a website with 1 million blank pixels, each one costing $1. On the website, companies could buy a pixel to place their logo and a link to their website. It was really successful, and in no time, Alex earned $1 million. In 2015, scientists discovered that due to the sun, a city's drinking water reservoir was evaporating and had increased levels of bromate, which is from the sun hitting the water and can cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. So the solution was simple. They covered the water with millions of non-toxic plastic balls, which gave shade to the water and fixed both problems. A man found a dinosaur bone that was 250 million years old. A couple who bought a house in California found an anti-nuclear bunker from the 1960s. It was built during the Cold War and was 4 meters underground for radiation protection. One man found human bones while doing yard work. He took them for examination and they were determined to be bones from 1,000 years ago. A man digging came across a passageway that led to the pyramids of Egypt. He dug around 30 feet down the tunnel, and archaeologists confirmed that it was a tunnel leading to Egypt's oldest pyramid. In Iowa, baby, be my therapy, cause we need all your empathy. Cause the world's so cold without you, so baby, it lost for me. I don't need no compass, show me yours. Tryna find my purpose, give me yours. If you're gonna make it hurt, better make it worth it. So come on, make a man out of me, cause you got that power, elegant flower. I'm yours, better take it from me. Put that focus on me, between me and you, the truth is. Front porch, a bunch of rich kids showed up at his house and started making fun of him. At first he was upset, but then he decided to invite the kids inside. And little did they know he was hiding the biggest secret in the entire neighborhood. But before I show you what's inside, I found this app that lets you prank your friends and family by dragging these stickers onto their text message to change it. Just press the button on my profile to get it. In his basement, there's a full-size flight simulator with millions of dollars. Homeowners who spent a fortune just for revenge. A couple that was in the process of a divorce in the 1920s made an agreement where the husband had to build a house for her that was identical to the house they were living in, but she didn't specify the place where she wanted it. So the man had it built in a saltwater marsh that was in the middle of nowhere. In a Seattle neighborhood, neighbors got into an argument about a small plot of land. The owner of the land was approached by his neighbor, who offered him a small amount of money for the land so he could grow a garden. For some reason, the landowner was so offended that he built a house. In the end, the neighbor moved because the house obstructed his view. In Argentina, Karina Cavana was rejected from her partner's mother, so in revenge she set out to build a house that would obstruct the view of the Basilica of the Blessed Sacrament from the home of the family that rejected her. 5 everyday things that prove our life is a lie. Mini carrots sold in supermarkets aren't really that size. They're cut to look like that and more noticeable to the eye. Hair doesn't grow thicker if you cut it or shave it. Many people think this because the tip that's left is blunt, which makes it appear to be thicker until it's finished growing. The taste of Coca-Cola changes when it's packaged in cans. The only container that it doesn't change taste is in glass, because it's chemically inert, which means that it doesn't affect the product. The gold medals in the Olympics aren't only made of gold. They're made of pure silver that's plated in gold, so they only actually contain about 1.34% of gold, which would be equivalent to 6 grams. Finally, for the longest time, people have been using bricks for their walls because it's sturdy, but nowadays companies can make anything look like brick walls. So if it looks like this, it may not be as sturdy as you think. The most brutal military drills. South Korea's elite army has to go into freezing water that's minus 30 degrees for training, and for 9 days they have to do combat training in the snow at extreme temperatures. In North Korea, the training's also brutal. One of their daily activities is to hit a piece of wood wrapped in rope 5,000 times and hit blocks of salt with their bleeding fists to make the muscles in their hands stronger. Part of the Chinese army training consists of wooden sticks being smashed on their backs, concrete blocks bursting in their arms, plates being broke over their heads, and being hit in the head and stomach with a hammer. Finally, military members from different countries have participated in this training exercise, where they have to drink snake blood and eat live animals. This training is a survival course for them to learn how to survive in extreme conditions. People who got stuck in the strangest places. Jamie Bracken Murphy was a young Irish boy who got stuck in a stuffed animal vending machine. He wanted to grab one of the toys, so he went in the machine, but couldn't get out. Thankfully, it was easy for them to get him out, and he was only in there for a couple minutes. A man named Cato Larson got stuck in the toilet while trying to get his friend's phone out. He didn't just reach his hand in, he went all the way in the toilet and he couldn't get out. He couldn't find his phone either to call for help. He stayed there for an hour until he was freed by firefighters, who had to break the toilet to get him out. Finally, a woman named Rosie decided to get into a washing machine for a TikTok, but her legs got stuck, so she had to call someone for help to get her out. She tried calling her friends first, but they couldn't, so she ended up having to get help from the fire department. Mysterious photos that can't be explained. In this photo, if you look behind this man's head, you can see a shadow behind him. The face of the shadow belongs to Air Force pilot Freddie Jackson, who had passed away and his funeral had taken place a few hours before. In this photo of students, you can see a hand that doesn't belong to any one of them. And although they thought it was a joke, many people think it was paranormal activity. This photo was taken on a bridge in Oakville, Kentucky. The shadow appears to be of a woman walking, and coincidentally, there's a story that a soldier murdered his wife and child near this location. After a family dinner, Mr. Cooper took this picture to remember, but when they looked at it, they seen a strange figure hanging from their ceiling. The craziest things found by airport security. In an Amsterdam airport, 200 bags of tarantulas were found. In 2015, a child was found in a suitcase that belonged to a 19-year-old girl traveling from Morocco to Spain. A couple from India were arrested at the airport for smuggling small bars of pure gold that they glued to their feet. At Shanghai airport, they opened a suitcase that contained live snakes, and in total there was